Dutch Mama here. There's been a lot of talk about that shooter in Georgia, and what most people seem to zero on in that incident is where did he get the gun, and a lot of times people like to focus in on what role did technology play in this. Like, people want to focus on the facets of inanimate objects and how they can control them to reduce these incidents. I want to focus on a different facet. I feel like we are not addressing this, and these things are just going to keep continuing unless we do, because you can outlaw guns, but there was an old lady who was accused of murdering her husband with the handle to a coffee cup. You can't outlaw everything people use to kill people. So, let's take care of a different aspect of it too and try and reduce this, right? When I was a kid, I acted monstrously. I had a strong will. I had a very strong personality, and I had very strong emotions. And I put these to the service of a selfish, sinful nature. And I was apparently not pleasant to be around. I was rejected by my peers, and I was miserable. I was beat up on the playground, put in detention for it afterwards. Everyone else just kind of awkwardly stood back and didn't say anything so they wouldn't be the next target. And I would cry and I would cry and I would cry and rage and rage and rage, trying to control people. I was trying to be the boss. I was trying to be God. Wasn't working very well. And I was miserable. And I hated myself. And I hated everyone else. And I hated God. And I was suicidal as a 4th grader. The only things that kept me from killing myself were the facts that if I knew that if my mom caught me trying to kill myself, she would be so mad. She's scary when she's mad. And I knew that when I got home, I got to watch Mr. Rogers. And I really needed to hear some of the things he said. Okay, so that's where I was. The school did not handle me well. They wanted to medicate me into submission. The teachers didn't know what to do with me. So I don't know where I would be today if I had kept going in that direction. But if I had had a gun or a coffee cup handle, things might not have been pretty. I stabbed a girl in the hand with a pencil once. So, a couple things happened. Several things worked together. God used that to help me. I started orchestra. The orchestra teacher was a Christian. And when you play a musical instrument like that, it's not just a group thing where the teacher has to teach everyone simultaneously and has no attention for any individual, even though that is part of it. You have to work together as a group. Part of orchestra is that in order to learn the instrument, the teacher has to sit down with you, or maybe you and a 2nd or 3rd student, and teach you how to play that instrument. So I got a little bit of attention and counseling, and that really helped. But another thing that helped my mom decided she was tired of the school messing this up. This is not a good situation. And she started homeschooling me. Now, homeschooling was not something that just everyone knew about back then. So she had to look it up and found out this was a viable and legal option, and she did it. So after a while, I wasn't around people trying to kick my stomach, and I wasn't around people mocking me mercilessly at lunchtime. And I wasn't around people trying to stick me in detention because someone kicked me in the stomach at recess. But another thing, the thing that helped the most, remember I said that those aspects of me that are very potent were under the service of a sinful nature? What helped me the most is one day I was sitting there in timeout, and God put all the pieces in place. He had sent me people my entire life to help me to understand that I have a sin problem. Jesus died to rescue me from that because he loves me. God put the piece in place. He actually does love me. He's not just faking it so he doesn't get in trouble. He wouldn't have made me if he didn't love me. He helped me to realize that I was being the bad guy. When I was trying to control people like that, I was acting like Cobra Commander or Skeletor or that bad guy from Transformers. I was acting like the bad guy. And when I got downwind of myself, and when I realized what Jesus did for me, then I said, okay, I give up. Please forgive me. And he did. And that storm, that empty spot inside of me with the storm in it, stopped. And I had his peace. And I had his Holy Spirit to help me to do what's right, which I needed. And then Mom pulled me out of school, and things got better. And I'm still often not accepted socially. But you know what? God uses that. I hold on to him. If he had given me that stuff, I might not have. If he had given me that stuff, I might not be so brave to say the things that he wants me to say, that you need to hear. Like the fact that you have a sin problem, and Jesus died to rescue you from it because he loves you. And if I had the privilege and the blessing of having people in my life all over the place telling me these things. A lot of the kids in the public schools nowadays don't have those things. They don't know. How do they have hope? Unless we tell them these things. And they don't have access to these things, and access to this information is getting more and more restricted, and Christians are purposely putting themselves under a bushel basket. So, I would encourage you, if you know Jesus, and you end up being around some pretty scary kids, guess what? They're the ones that need to know. That kid with the weird hair, whose daddy ain't there, he's the one that needs to know. This isn't going to stop until they get some sort of resolution for that storm in them. And you can outlaw the guns. There's so many ways to kill a human, and they will find it. So, yeah, let's address this problem and see what happens. And thank you for your time, and have a good day.